I do, honestly.
Yeah. I'll go when I get next. Come over to,
Yeah.
No, I will.
Not Chinese, they're
they
Vietnamese.
really.
Oh my God, they get, I think, massage your feet and they
I
get
know,
all this.
yeah.
He said, look at all that skin.
Did he say that?
Oh, it's hilarious. There's 3 young guys they're sitting bunting.
I'm going to get rid of this cushion.
Well, I want to tag it in it.
Tag it?
Yeah, like House Hackney.
Oh, you got one over there?
Oh.
Well, my name's Diego, but I'm from the Tsutsujil tribe, so they would call me Achiko. And
oh, he's so cute.
I'm in Guatemala right now, but I'm from Minnesota, St. Paul. And
oh, it's like Lottie.
I have a dog. I have
Big
a
dog.
mom and dad.
Oh, is it? This is him in Guatemala.
This is probably the first trip, isn't it?
I think this was said the one for 2009, so that was the third trip.
He's born in.
Today we might go see my birth mom.
Oh, he's
She's
a
on the other
holiday.
side of the lake. Dolores, the translator, who's also like a guider, she can guide you up a mountain.
Is that the birth mother? Was that the translator?
That's the translator, I think.
Oh.
Got a coffee job.
Yeah, the birth mother works from the coffee.
You have to work like from 6 a.m. to like 4 p.m. if you want to pick coffee. And you have to carry
I'd love to go to
11
Guatemala,
pounds of
actually.
coffee
Could be
up
arranged.
this mountain, which is like over 1,000 feet, maybe 2,000 feet high. 10,000 feet, I don't know.
Well, having only had it twice,
We are probably more experienced than others.
well, I wouldn't say more experienced, but
Well,
certainly
most
we've had the
people.
experience.
I'm talking about experience with people who don't know about
Well, I know
adoption in
that,
the way
but-
that we do. Very worthwhile. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Well, I think we've been lucky.
Yes,
I mean,
we
there
have
have
been.
been people that we've known in the past. That haven't-
Unfortunately,
it hasn't
that's
worked
life.
out.
It can happen in the same way with your own children, so it's not, that is just the luck of the draw. You can't do anything about that.
Having 2 adopted cousins.
Yeah.
And obviously I was like being slightly older than them, I kind of remember the process. Not the process, but I remember the kind of, we're adopting, I remember them like going to get Mario. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing, because obviously in this country it's not as, you know, in countries where there's poverty and stuff, it is more common for them to like give up their children. So it's something that I, on a personal level, can't relate to, because I've got a family. If I was to fall pregnant or like have a child, I'd know that I'd be able to get a job, and so I can't relate from a mother's side.
Diego, come and meet these people.
So now he's meeting his brothers and sisters.
Oh, really?
That's Bernard's cousin.
Saying she's your aunt. That's her grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And is she the mother of Isabel or?
Right, his dad's mum.
Yeah.
They all look very similar, don't they?
I do.
They look very Indian, don't they? That,
It's very hard for that little boy.
I wonder why she gave him up.
His adopted mother speaks the lingo.
That's his adopted mother.
It's probably like, leave me the fuck alone.
It's because they thought you were dead because that's what the man said. Because you're related to the man.
The dad.
Who is your biological father. So the man told, and maybe because Isabel told him, because she really cared you and she didn't want anybody to be angry with her.
So she just said the baby, and she gave you up right away the day
That's
after you were
interesting.
born.
Where does he feel that he actually belongs?
So they told the whole family.
Too much for him to think about.
He doesn't know, he's obviously so overwhelmed with so much emotion.
I guess there are stories, obviously, where adoption can be, you know, there's programs on TV where it's obviously the not knowing you are adopted and finding out and not wanting a relationship, and you know, you hear all that, but also that's also the dramatised.
Yeah, but you do hear a lot of that though. Like people I know, they adopt people I know, friends of friends, or whatever. They adopted like siblings, like 3 sons, and they all went on to like become heroin addicts, and they like all had like they all really put loads of like strain on the family.
Well, having said that, personally, we had 1 son, didn't we?
Right.
And we never had any other children. We would have liked other children. But when we were at that age, 60 years ago, because we'd got 1 child, we wouldn't be allowed to adopt a child.
It was too difficult to adopt anyway, that was the problem.
It was more difficult to adopt, but the fact that we had only got 1 child, we wouldn't be considered. And I think that, you know, that makes it very sad for us, but we had a son, which was lovely.
You would like more.
But we would have liked to have had more children.
Remember when your grandmother and your aunts came, they said they thought you were dead?
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Was that weird?
It was kind of weird because I thought everyone thought that I was alive. Because then, and my aunts were really happy to see me because they didn't know if Isabel was telling the truth about me being dead. Because she gave me a ray the next day I was born. And then she said, Diego's dead. She just wanted to protect me.
She wanted to protect you?
Very kind woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always found it really sad / strange that my parents would have never, well my dad would have, but my parents would have never considered adoption.
Wouldn't
because
they?
obviously, like Mario's family, my parents had a lot of trouble conceiving.
Yeah.
But my mum was so fixated by the fact that it had to be her child, her blood, her carrying it, etc. So she didn't even consider adoption.
No.
I think my dad was interested in it, but my mum wasn't. So I find that really weird, because I'm like, how could you want a child so desperately, but rather not have one than have one
somebody else's child
that's come out of somebody else's body, but yet you raise? I find that a bit strange, and I think, the first time I started to even really speak about adoption was with Mario, because we were friends at school, and we started talking, and this was like sort of year 8 or whatever, and I remember we used to talk on MSN, which is like this online web chat. And I was really interested in his adoption because I'd never met... Well, I met people who were adopted, but I never had a friend who was adopted before. So I said, I used to message him being like, oh, you know, do you like the fact that you're adopted? Do you want to meet your birth family? Does it make you upset? All this stuff. I was just really curious about it. It was something that I didn't know anything about. And I always remember being very interested by his reaction to adoption, because he was always like, you know, my birth family are not my family. My adoptive family are my family, and it, you know, it doesn't really bother me. It's just the same, and I think it's a good thing. And I always used to admire Mario for the fact that I used to think that being adopted gave him a lens of understanding of his position in the world better perhaps other people, because of the stark contrast between what would have been and what did happen.
Exactly.
And I always used to find it strange that he wasn't interested to meet his birth mother. I remember as a child I was really intrigued by it, because he used to say, no, I'm not interested to meet her because she's just a person who carried me, she's not relevant. But yeah, so that's my experience. And I guess through partly my relationship with Mario, and also kind of my own learning about family and all that through when I've studied law, I've definitely come to the conclusion that if I did have children myself, probably with Mario, we might not have any kids, but whatever, if we did have children, we'd probably most likely adopt, because I like the idea that as opposed to bringing a new person into the world, you're actually sort of giving somebody a home who otherwise might not have had one. So yeah.
Can I just say, how would your mum feel about that?
Funnily enough, I don't think she'd be that pleased, because we've kind of spoke briefly with my mum about that sort of thing, and she finds it quite difficult to get her head around. Why would you want to adopt if you actually have the ability to have your own child?
I would feel it very difficult, because I would want my lineage
to carry on. Like you'd like children to look like you?
Maybe selfish, I don't know. I would want to know that seed carried on.
Well, yeah.
Mrs. Baker told Isabel that we were staying at the Posada, and then she came to see
That's
us
Mum.
and stay long because she had snuck out of work, and then she had to go back, otherwise there would be consequences.
So Isabel, his birth mum's come to see him now?
Well, we have money, we saved money, and then we're going to find them, Isabel, and give her the money.
They're going to give Isabel money?
Because she tried to do the best thing for me. I can pay her by...
Is that the right thing to
giving
do?
her money so that kids can have an education.
Oh, it's for
right. And they can get shoes, because they don't even have shoes. Socks, soccer ball, toys, I don't know. And food. Most of all, food.
Is that her?
It must be so weird for that mother to like stand, like speak a language that her son doesn't understand.
I don't think that's right.
That's the birth mum.
The mother, yeah.
Kinda hard.
Very
not
sad,
really that
but how
hard
confused is that boy?
for me to be away from her. Because I don't get to see what's going on. And I didn't get to go to my sister's funeral in Guatemala. I didn't have a sister. I'm an only child. But my sister in Guatemala, she died because she stole a mango. Her name was Julia. And then my dad, he was in the army, and he was mad at her. He just kicked him in the stomach. And then she had to lie down, and they can't get, I want to give them the money too for good health. So, because they couldn't even afford the cheapest doctor.
I found that really uncomfortable in a way. Like, I think they're obviously doing the right thing by like encouraging him to see his like second family should he want to do that. But it just feels like it
was too much around them wanting to know more, maybe.
Yeah, and then wanting to film it and make a project out of it.
Yeah.
Oh. Was it really sad? Oh, don't cry. I should be crying. I just think, no, it's so sad. So I think for the little boy, it's also, I mean, he's been obviously really lucky, hasn't he? I mean, it's obviously, like, I don't know, it's just sad. It's a different world, isn't it? Different world. It's a different world. And I think, in fact, he obviously was really upset about the sister. I think, God, kidding, why the dad kicked the daughter in the stomach? The world is different then. The world is different, isn't it? And he's obviously been so lucky to obviously with the family, love him. But just, I found it really emotional. Even seeing the chickens in the thing, I didn't like it. But I was surprised with you, how you're very, quite, I think it's probably because we probably thought we've had we've kind of known about that, haven't we, for so long?
I suppose, maybe that's it, because
You
you
know how the way it was
Yeah.
for us to go and get married and what the problems were. So we kind of lived it, didn't we, a bit? So it doesn't shock me or surprise me at all.
that's what I said,
It's emotional, but not. He's not really saying anything I don't already know.
No, I suppose not. No, that's it. I just found it all like, oh my gosh.
It was really sad. It was really sad.
Yeah,
It was
happy sad, wasn't it? Because he's
Yeah.
obviously, really a well-adjusted little boy, but I think in the back of his mind, just that thing.
In fact, he was touching it. I just wonder how much he was saying things that he actually really felt.
Yeah,
or that he was saying, 'cause
exactly.
he
was
kind of
like
that,
comforting
wasn't he?
himself, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I felt.
it was. It was really quite unbelievable, actually, wasn't it? Now I want to know where the mother is.
Yeah, I know, but
no, it's just life, isn't it?
But the only thing is, when she got that money, that would have just probably transformed everything for her.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That will transform her life. So probably she's probably really happy now.
But so was she the husband that kicked the daughter? Is she still with that? Was that still that?
Possibly, but because he was. Did you say he was in the army?
Oh, I don't know.
But the little boy, I think she said the dad had died, and she couldn't look after him. That's what they said about Mario. The dad had died, but then we found out later he hadn't died. It's because I think they say they're so desperate for money, they're so desperate situations that they say stuff, and then it turns out it's not quite.
Yeah, okay.
It's what they say to make things better at the time.
Well, obviously my experience with adoption is I'm adopted from Clacton-on-Sea, Essex, Chelmsford, Colchester, Epping, been everywhere. It doesn't really change anything, to be honest. Like, I've known it my whole life, it's always been one of the things, but it doesn't really affect me. Like, I know it's probably because I was from such a young age, because a lot of people, if they get, they'll be adopted from normally it'll be from a younger age, but if you're adopted from 12 to 16, it's when it's probably quite hard because you're older and you kind of have to go through the process whilst you're you can acknowledge the process, whereas if you're a baby you don't really have to acknowledge the process and it's just like a natural thing that happens. And obviously my brother is adopted from Guatemala. But yeah, it's pretty mental. I think he's probably had the same sort of experience, seeing as he was very young. And yeah, it doesn't really affect us in any different way or how we perceive our parents or anything. I think it's always been just one of those things.